Ask.com has undergone a series of changes in recent years, including its major decision to pull out of the search industry and focus on a question and answer service for mobile. And the company has experienced promising results and has thus become a proponent of change. And its latest change, however, involves an entirely different approach called applied improvisation. The inspiration came from Tina Fey's book, Bossypants, and Ask.com says the impact has been profound. So at this time, we're going to bring in Lisa Kavanaugh, Ask.com's Chief Product and Technology Officer, by way of Skype to talk about this concept and what it has brought to the company. Thanks for joining us, Lisa.
Thanks for having me, Abby.
You're very welcome. Well, let's talk about this idea of applied improvisation. What exactly is it?
Good question. Before I dive into what it is, I think it's important to understand the context of Ask.com at the time that we applied it.
Okay.
As you mentioned, Ask.com has a history in general search, and we're keenly focused on being a Q&A service.
Right.
And we've had incredible growth over the last year. We've been focused really on mobile since we see a very strong use case for question and answering when you're on the go, on your mobile phone. So we've had 1.5 million downloads of our iPhone app, and we've had about a 35% growth in traffic overall, which has been reflected in our earnings reports. And what we found was that we had become very, very skilled and had a very tuned muscle in executing the things we knew how to do. And that was representative in the success that we've seen in the growth last year. But what we've been looking for is new ways to accelerate that growth and to look for big wins and place big bets, and to do that through innovation. And so, as you mentioned, the inspiration came from our CEO, Doug Leeds, reading Bossypants, where improv was mentioned as a means to finding that innovative culture.
Right.
So the question is, what does that mean? When Doug came to the executive team and asked us to experiment with improv, I think we thought what maybe some of your viewers are thinking, which is, is this like Whose Line Is It Anyway? And the Drew Carey spotlight on stage. And we were a little bit nervous and tentative when we first heard that. But that's not what it was. It was really borrowing from the tenets of improv, the pillars of improv, and applying that to a business setting in order to stimulate innovation through a new way of thinking. And improv is really based on the notion that all ideas that are shared, everything that is shared, is accepted and embraced and celebrated. And there's no bad ideas, and that you are in the moment, and that you collaborate with others, and you share and build upon those ideas for the sake of something bigger and better. And so we worked with a woman named Sue Walden from Improv Works to train the executive team, and once we got hooked, we have trained the entire organization to learn these skills and apply these tools to break your mind out of the normal everyday analytical thinking to put ourselves in a different space to come up with new and bigger, better ideas.
So at a base level, it really breaks down walls.
Absolutely. It's about breaking down the walls, and it's also about creating a safe place to share ideas. What we found, and I have definitely seen this in my personal experience, is that what happens is people think you have an idea, but then you think about it and you sort of run through all the scenarios of how it can maybe work and not work before you share it. And I call that bulletproofing an idea. Mm-hmm. And when people are doing that, a lot of ideas never see the light of day. And some of those ideas, if shared and accepted and built upon just for the sake of doing that, may generate something much bigger and better that you wouldn't have ever seen otherwise.
So can you walk us through a typical day and really give us some specific examples of this applied improvisation?
Sure. No problem. So what we've done here at Ask is something that no one else is doing right now in terms of improv. We're not just doing a day workshop for the teams. We've really taken this to the extreme and trained everyone in the company, receptionists to mailroom employee, and we've set aside every Friday afternoon to use these tactics for people to learn more improv skills, exercise them, and then apply them for brainstorming. And so what you'll see in the halls at Ask on Friday afternoons is what we call Funovation. And you'll see people getting together and doing warm-ups, like real improv warm-ups. And what that might look like is a series of exercises that really forces the brain out of its normal patterns. So an example of one of those exercises is we do something where we walk around the room and you point to an object, for instance, the clock, and you call it out loud by a name other than what it really is. So you might say plant, and then you point to a chair and you name it what the last thing you pointed to was. So that would be clock. And then you walk around and you do that. You look really silly, but it really is a mind bender, and it forces your brain to get out of that processing that can sometimes lead to that extra level of filtering.
So what has changed at Ask.com as a result of this?
Sure. What we've seen is as folks are taking these tools and applying them, we see different people coming together, and we see different ideas coming out of the same type of problem solving. So an example is we had an engineering team that was getting together to discuss the best ways to reduce the number of bugs released in our code. So improve quality and release faster. And they had been, obviously toying with these types of problems frequently. And through the Friday afternoons, we encourage different people from different departments to get involved. And so the head of HR joined one of these sessions. And when she first walked in, I think she thought, wow, this is definitely not the right place for me. But it was important that she be there. And she ended up having the idea that was the breakthrough idea of the day. And she had an idea to tie performance reviews to the tracking of bugs introduced by developers. And that's something that team said they would never have come up with on their own.
That's very interesting. Well, how does this innovation and creativity really translate in terms of numbers and growth and product development and things like that?
Sure, that's a great question. What we've seen is we have some new products that have just come out in terms of the apps that we released for South by Southwest this year, a polling app that came out of some of the brainstorming we did in this way. And our product roadmaps, we take numbered goals, like trying to increase engagement or installs or visits or registrations by a certain amount, and we'll use these tactics to brainstorm ideas. So in the past, you might have had one or two people that were responsible for one of those goals brainstorming on their own, and now we're tapping into the collective intelligence of the entire organization to put our minds towards reaching those numbers faster through this type of activity and these ideas.
Very interesting. Well, when people hear of this, there will obviously be skeptics. So what do you say to them?
I say try it. I was definitely skeptical, and I think some of my colleagues were as well. But the feedback we got back from the teams that we put through this training has been overwhelming. Some of them said it was the best training they've ever had in their career. Wow. And you can't explain to someone the feeling of when you have that aha moment of realizing that you've been limiting yourself and the teams and the organization by only looking to a few people to generate ideas in only one way. I mean, this is a tool set that is not, it's a tool to be used for the appropriate time. And when you're looking to shake things up, think of new big ideas. I say, why not try it? Try it, see what you think, because we've definitely felt a massive difference here, and it's working for us.
All right. Well, it's definitely an exciting and interesting concept. We look forward to hearing where it leads Ask.com. Thank you so much for talking with us about it, Lisa.
Thanks for having me.
You're very welcome. With this WebProNews report, I'm Abby Johnson.